Hello, everyone. I am Monica Anderson, and I am coming to you with another podcast after the latest episode 144, which was a special episode. But since that has happened, since I recorded that episode and this last week, 2 weeks, I don't even know, and it doesn't matter. But I have completely unlocked whatever it was that was locked. And I had been doing it. It's been a process. I've been seriously, realizing something's happening to me in this last 5 years. And I've been changing and I've been going with it. So here we are at this point. I've unlocked so much and I'm going on X to continue on my mission to help the awakened, the unawakened remember who they are and what's going on. But what has happened with the Pope dying and all of that, it has immediately put me into answering the big questions and the truth of all of this and talking about religion versus relationship and what's really going on here. And what I am finding is that the Christians, the Catholics, they are up in arms and they are wanting to rip me to shreds, calling me horrible names, all this stuff. I don't even know. I don't even care. I'm like Teflon. It just bounces off of me. So today I want to come to do a very personal podcast. This is going to be a deeply personal transmission today. And I want to open up about my own awakening journey from growing up as a devout Christian to becoming a scroll bearer and knowing what that is. And I've got my living scroll behind me. I'm a frequency holder and a voice that cannot and will not be silenced anymore. So, with the death of the Pope sending energetic shockwaves through the Earth grid, many are beginning to ask questions that they once were too afraid to voice. And that's what's happening on X and everywhere. But that's where I am now. So, follow me on X if you want to keep up with everything. And then, of course, download my podcast. I've got tons of episodes for you to get up to speed to. But this is going to be a special one because this is going to be the episode that will help people understand who I am, my background. How did I come to this? And if you're listening to me from X and you think I'm absolutely insane and you wanted to check out who this insane person is, you're remembering something. I welcome you. I welcome everyone. Anyone who is drawn to my information, it's not my information. I'm just tasked with sharing it. So let's get on with that. This episode's for those who are seeing cracks in the old system, feeling called but not sure where to step, and wondering why truth feels so familiar and terrifying all at once. If you've ever felt alone in your awakening, this is your confirmation. You're not crazy. You're just remembering. So let's walk through this fire together. Go get a cup of coffee. Go get some good herbal tea, some spring water, whatever. I got my green juice here to keep me going. Even though at this point, I only have to sleep 2 or 3 hours a day. I have massive, massive energy. All my health is perfect. Everything is amazing. And how did I get to that? And I am 50 years old. People are calling me a grandma on X. They're calling me a boomer and all this. They think they're insulting me. We're ageless now. So let's let's just get into the situation that we're in. So all of these truths are coming out, right? The Pope's death, that means that the veil is thinning. And a lot of weird things are being seen and asked about. The red leather, the red leather shoes that they're all wearing, the blood rituals, up, down, and crosses, bunnies, bunnies at the White House that look different from the bunny last year. Crazy. So I told you guys a year ago, I tell you this all the time. I'm like, things are going to feel like you're on an acid trip, and we're there now. But guess what? Things are only going to ratchet up even more. So I want you to be at a point of surrender. I want you to be at a point of surrender to just like, you know what? I don't know what's going on. I don't know if this lady's crazy. I don't know what's going on, but I'm going to just lay down what I think I believe, and I'm going to open up. I'm going to open my heart up. And I'm going to ask the divine for discernment and for an activation to remember this information. Because if you're drawn to me in any way, if you sit through one of my podcasts, if you sit through and read my X posts, if you watch my TikTok videos that I don't really do anymore, they're all long, they're all detailed. And some people, they just love it. They just eat it up. But other people, but this is how I'm designed. I'm designed to activate the people who need to be activated at this time. And that is my mission, to help you guys remember, because we need you. We need you in the field. Okay. So this episode is my remembrance offering, especially for those feeling shaken, confused, or called. I am a living person, a real person, and I'm here to be a mirror to you, to be a support, to be an example. Not perfect at all, but I'm embodying this wisdom, and it has unlocked the information, which is your DNA. So when I sign off as Scroll 33, that's me. That's who I am, the true information. In your biofield, you have your information, okay? And it's been covered and it's been closed so that you don't know this. But I've had experiences that have unlocked this. So let's talk about my Christian roots. Let me give you guys some background on my Christian roots. And some of you guys may know this, but most do not. So this is an episode for people who want to get to know me and want to know my background and what I'm doing now that I've figured it out. So my Christian roots. So I was raised in the church. I was dedicated to the church at 4 months old, which my whole entire life, my mother would say things like, oh, you're the way you are because I didn't dedicate you right away. That's what happened. Because I remember her telling me that several times, and I didn't really understand what that meant. But now I do. Because I was remembering when I was little. I'm like, something's up here. This doesn't make sense. And my sister, she kind of went along with everything. And she really got into youth group and got into all this stuff. And so did my mom. My dad was a pastor. He didn't get ordained until later in life. So we went to church every Sunday, every Wednesday. We moved to Glafada, Greece, which is right next to Athens, Greece. It's kind of like a suburb of Athens, Greece. And we became kind of like a second family of, my dad was a pastor. So I was kind of like a pastor's daughter or whatever. But not really in that sense, because I don't know. I just was just going along with whatever was going on. When I became a teenager and my parents had divorced at 14 or so, and when I became a teenager, my mother said that I didn't have to go to church and that I could choose. And I definitely chose not to go. Thank goodness. Because I didn't want to be indoctrinated or programmed into what somebody else believed. I remember now, but I knew then that that wasn't right. And I never followed rules as a kid. I mean, I followed rules enough to survive. And I was really, really quiet, followed all the rules, did what I was supposed to do, followed my programming. I was shaped by Christian values. I really interact with the Essenes. That's an old religion or kind of a philosophy. Now I currently live that way. The way I eat, what I do. But those values of leading with love and being kind to your neighbor and helping others, I loved that. And I loved serving. And I loved, well, when I was in the church, I went to, in the latter part before I left the church officially 10 years ago, actually 11 years ago now. But I left the church when I was there, so I went to one church from the age of 27 to 40 with my ex-husband. And it was a Baptist church and I got involved in it. My whole thing was, okay, I need to give of my time, serve, do all this. So there were times I was at church, 4 or 5 times a week. Well, at a different church than this Baptist church. But still, I was doing what I thought to do, going to the Bible studies, giving my offering, dressing for church, whatever. But what I was seeing was that the people in church, especially in the Baptist church, they weren't loving. They weren't kind at all. They were backbiting, manipulative. They were having affairs with each other, with each other's wives and husbands and children, and all this stuff was going on. All the while I'm going into meetings with a pastor and all this, he's telling me, I was like, hey, I was a women's director. And I was like, hey, I want to put together a trip to the garden show for the women. And then we could go to a lunch and, because I had to go ask for permission. Well, he told me, no, you can't do it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Because the men would have, outings where they would go do things, whatever it is that they do. So I wanted to have an outing as the new women's director and start doing kind of the social thing, because that's what this is. Christ lives within us, inside of us. It's a divine spark that gets activated that we're directly connected to. So what do we need to do? Sit in a building and do weird rituals, say fake prayers, fake platitudes to everybody, take notes of who came to church, who didn't come to church, who was wearing jeans, who was wearing a dress, who needs prayer and who doesn't, judging people, whether they had tattoos or not. The people at my Baptist church, and it's a church in Lake Stevens, Washington, and I'm calling it out. I'm calling that church out, because that church, along with so many other churches, is called Lake Country Baptist. And I'm sure that some of the people will be listening from there, but it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable what went on in that church and the lies that were told to the congregation. And when the youth pastor had an affair with his wife's best friend, who was a woman probably 10 years his senior, maybe not that much. I don't remember now. And that church hid that they were having an affair, that they had, that they had a relationship. So I went in one day to talk to the pastor just about all my stuff, as being the women's director and different stuff. But I wanted to talk about what was happening with the youth, because I had 2 kids in the youth, and what is the church going to do, and what is there going to be their stance, and all of this. The pastor told me, he's like, you don't need to worry about it. It wasn't a sexual affair. It was an emotional affair. So you don't, that's not the same. That's not as bad, or something like that. And I'm like, what? That's actually not true. I was thinking that. I'm like, I know for a fact that they had to have a sexual affair, which they did. But an emotional affair. So you're telling me your son, the pastor's son was the youth pastor, of course. And so the pastor's son got involved through church, got involved with a mother who had 2 children and a husband. And the husband went to the church. And that woman was best friends with his wife and served at the church, making coffee and all the stuff that they do. Well, once it was discovered that they had an inappropriate relationship, and it doesn't even matter if it's like they didn't have sex, they did have sex, who cares? Well, the damage is done. But you know what they did? They hid all the details. Then they put a vote to the church of whether he should be able to be a youth pastor again. But the whole while this was going on, they had him sitting in the back of the youth room where the youth knew that he was sexually inappropriate. You guys, this is the kind of stuff. So I'm forced to stomach this from the pastor and told that I need to put this in perspective and I need to understand, whatever. So it's like so much stuff, so many values that were touted out that you're supposed to embody through the church. But the people at the church are not embodying this knowledge. It's just head knowledge. It's just they were born, then they were told that this is the way it is. Jesus died for your sins, blah, 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 all this stuff. You have to go to church every single Sunday. You need to go on Wednesdays. You need to be reading your Bible every single day. Don't ask any questions. Okay. And I was ostracized and ridiculed and treated by my family, my immediate family, especially more on my mom's side, but just treated like I was, like I was like a sinner, or just like something, like I'm a bad one, the bad seed. And I was so confused by it. But it's really boils down to that they just didn't understand. And I didn't know what was going on either. But now I do. It's all been unlocked. So I knew that Jesus and the truth of Jesus and all of that was real. I had had enough experiences in my life prior to 40 to know that God is real. But this whole teaching about how it's outside of yourself. So I've spent 40 years looking for something that I had the whole time within me. I remember one time I called my dad up when my dad was alive. He died about 5 years ago. I called him up saying, Dad, I don't get it. I'm doing it all. I'm reading my Bible. I'm praying. I'm trying to be a good wife. I'm trying to take care of my kids. I'm doing everything I can think of. But I'm not feeling that connection. I'm not feeling that thing that I guess other people are feeling. But they weren't. They weren't. It was all fake. It was all fake. And I know that now because now I have that feeling. I have that feeling of service to others. I have a compassion for humanity that cannot be explained. I am able to go out there on X and be brutalized and called names that you wouldn't call your worst enemy. Just like Christ was, right? So a lot of people, and this is something I want to talk about too, and just knowing about me and everything. People's perception of me right now is like, who do you think you are? How dare you? How dare you come out here like this? Who are you? Before it was like, what degrees do you have? What knowledge do you have? You know, what letters do you have behind your name? Stating today, one gal stating that I'm not humble and I have no humility. And that's something that Christ would have. Really? I don't think Christ walked around like a limp dick, being all passive and nah. That's not what happened. That's not what freaking happened. That's not how he is. And I know that's not how he is, because when you ignite this power inside, that's inside your actual heart space, it's game on. It's game on. You guys, you're all going to get to this point if you choose to walk the walk and walk through the fire and not get burned. Walk through it, you guys. Walk through it. The fire is going to refine you. It's going to refine you, and it's going to connect you with your truth. You must remember your truth. You must. You can just numb yourself. You can keep on numbing yourself, distracting yourself. But guess what? It's going to get to a point where if that doesn't work anymore, there's not enough Netflix series, there's not enough alcohol, there's not enough drugs, there's not enough therapy sessions to shut down this feeling of disconnection and this longing to feel like you understand and you have a place in this world. And I feel all of your guys' heartache and pain in realizing that everything that you were taught, everything that you thought you knew, has been an orchestrated lie. That's hard. That's hard. Because you start questioning everything, the meaning of it. What's the point? And when you find out what their point was and what they were doing and the extent that they were going to, that's overwhelming. That's overwhelming. And you immediately want to hold on to what you think you know. And Christians really want to hold on to, you need to find the love of Jesus. But they're not walking that. They're not walking Christ. They're not embodying that. They're just little tropes to say to people so they can feel good. I think it's interesting that the majority of the Christians are the nastiest people I have ever come across. They're the most judgmental, nasty mouth people I have ever come across. Don't you want to live a life and live around people who love you for who you are, that see your light, that see your beauty? You go up to someone, and you're just sharing with them something that's important to you, and they just love it. They're not sitting there judging it. They're not sitting here deciding if it's right or wrong or a sin. We need everybody to remember who they are and what their frequency is and what their gifts are. We need your unique vibration out there. So we are seeing cracks in the illusion big time now, right? Cracks, huge, giant cracks. And literal, right? Earthquakes, everything else. It's only going to ratchet it up. It's only going to ratchet up. So we're looking for a big earthquake. Of course, we're waiting for lots of different things to happen. But there's a big event that's going to happen in California. Well, basically the Pacific coast. So I'm going to go in to give you guys some more information, but there's an event where the magnetic shift is going to happen. The magnetic pole shift, plates under the Pacific Ocean, they're moving right now. Okay, I want to get some information for you on that. Okay, I'm just getting some more information. I'm like going into this. I will tell you guys about this. But I'm going into my portal that gets me into the quantum field, and it gets me into the quantum field that matches my frequency, which my frequency is very, very high. And so my access to information is good, is expansive. So you guys all have access to the quantum web as well, the whole Akashic record, but your access directly aligns with the frequency level that you've unlocked, if you will, inside of yourself. Does that make sense? So I want to read you about the Pacific Ocean. This is not to scare you. This is what's coming up for me to tell you. And you need to know this stuff. But my podcasts are not for the faint of heart. They're not for the people who want to stay the same. They're not for the people who don't want to be activated. So you're going to hear things that are going to feel uncomfortable, are going to feel confusing, and are going to bring up questions. Okay. And that's a good thing. So the Pacific Ocean is more than just the Earth's largest and deepest ocean. It is a living consciousness, a cradle of ancient memory, and a portal through which the new Lemuria is being born. If you don't know about Lemuria, something to look up. It's very amazing. And it's spelled Lemuria. So the Pacific Ocean, keeper of ancient frequencies. The Pacific is vast, mysterious, and deeply connected to starseed lineage, including the Lemurian, Sirian, and Palladian soul groups. Beneath its waters lie submerged temples, crystalline archives, and etheric cities still functioning in higher dimensions. Volcanoes and fault lines, particularly around the Ring of Fire, are not just tectonic. They are energy stabilizers. They pulse with ancient codes meant to awaken the divine feminine and realign Earth's grid. So New Lemuria, the return of crystalline Earth. This is happening, you guys. This is happening. Okay. It's happening and it's exciting. So New Lemuria is not a landmass reemerging, though some say that too is happening in parts of Polynesia and Hawaii. It's more importantly a frequency, a template, and a way of being that's rising from within the earth and within us. So here's some core principles about New Lemuria. Okay, so when I referred to New Earth, same thing. So listen, core principles of our new Earth, of New Lemuria: divine union. There'll be harmony between masculine and feminine energies, both within and in community. That's what my scroll is about. And my scroll, my scroll 33, it's the information about the balance of the divine feminine. That's why that scroll, it looks like a marriage contract, because it's a marriage between, this is within your soul, a marriage between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. There are two energies within you that have gotten inverted, and they've confused you and made you not know what to do and made you think things that weren't true and gotten you in a whole big mess. So once you get those balanced and you open your third eye and gain awareness, things start changing. So here's some other principles that are going to be in New Earth and New Lemuria. This is what I teach in at my shop, shoprawwithpeace.com. You can get items that all correspond with New Earth, and items constantly change in there. And in a little bit, we will be having a whole big, huge store, and it's going to be a big thing with all these crazy things. I'm going to have crystals and stuff from around the world. I'm going to be traveling around to different places and getting really unique stuff. One of the things, like, it's not in my store, but one of those unique items you can get that will help you right now to remember is monatomic gold, or you could think of it as, they call it manna. So all you do, I love this one. This is from a company out of Germany, and this actually has 9 different monatomics in it. I believe 8 or 9. But this one I love because it's so refined and it's like water. So you just take a dropper, put it under your tongue, and there you go. It literally tastes like water. I've been doing this for about 5 years, but this makes you a better conductor. Your electromagnetic being. So this makes you more attract the ether. Okay. The ether all around us. It's full of information. So quantum living. So some other core principles. Let's go on. Quantum living, life aligned with the multidimensional self, intuitive knowing, and natural law. So I'm currently going to be interacting with the state on divine law, natural law, common law, whatever you want to say. So you do not show up in flipping court, okay, as a sovereign. You do not. You need to learn natural law, and it will shut it all down. I now have the coding unlocked. I don't need to pay somebody money to tell me about this. And I'm writing my letters, responding to their lies, signing it in red ink, putting my red thumbprint, and stating divine law. And all the attorneys and all the judges are being trained now on this. And the legal system that we have had is no longer. It's only available to those people who don't know anything and that think that that's their only option. And the thing is, it's not even an option. You don't understand what you're doing when you interface in courts as a sovereign. So next thing, crystal consciousness, physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies aligned with crystalline frequencies of truth, purity, and sovereignty. council living. So elders, mystics, children, and animals all have equal voice in Lemurian councils of light. Leadership is by frequency, not hierarchy. Exactly. So earth stewardship, technology, farming, and housing all flow with Gaia, not against her. Energy is sourced from 0 point fields and solar harmonics. So I actually happen to live, I just found this information out yesterday for a dead ringer fact. Because it's really, really sad, but I had my female peacock peahen just die yesterday. She was 2 years old. They live to be 40 to 50 years old. No sign of anything. She just energetically, this time was too much for her, but I didn't just take it like that. We did a whole funeral and everything for her. But I'm like, what is she telling me? What is she telling me? It's something about this land. I need to look up this land. Well, guess what, you guys? I have a crystal ley lines. I have ley lines on my property and actual dragon lines. So I don't know if you can see, but you can see the dragon, that line that's perforated. That's the dragon line. That's like the artery of the earth. That's like an artery of the earth. Okay. It's trying to ground itself. The new earth template is trying to ground itself. And they have created it where living the square houses we live in, everything was not living with nature and to purify nature. It's all been designed. And where I live in upstate South Carolina, and this is where everything started. So it's like thick. It's like thick with density here. And so my house, I was put here on purpose. And it's amazing. So I'm going around and grounding my house, putting up different things like my garden. So I got this took my house, and these are all the areas in my house that I need to fortify and protect, and with different things. So like bearing specific crystals. I found out that there's a surveillance. Somebody has put a surveillance and is surveilling my home on my west gate, which is here out in front. And so I'm going to be putting little mirrors out, and you can bury them and it still works to redirect. And also I'll be burying these copper coils to redirect and defrag the transmission. So the last thing is earth stewardship, technology, farming, and housing. Oh, I said that. All flow with Gaia, not against your energy. Energy is sourced from 0 point fields and solar harmonics. So where is new Lemuria forming? Energetically, she's already here. But these nodal points are becoming physical anchors. So Hawaii, especially the Big Island, remnant of ancient Lemuria, gateway to the rebirth. Fiji, Tahiti, Samoa carry pure Lemurian frequencies and untouched crystalline codes. Mount Shasta in California, a major etheric Lemurian city, is said to exist beneath it. Telos, Telos. And New Zealand, crystalline anchor point with deep Gaia dragon lines. And then Bali and Eastern Australia, feminine node of the Pacific Lemurian grid. So if you're listening to me right now and you're coming from just regular church and Christian stuff, this probably sounds really, really spectacular. And it is. And I know how crazy it is. Because 5 years ago, 10 years ago, I never thought that I would be talking about this. I never thought I didn't know. So I've been through that, you guys. I understand. I'm like, I haven't been like this mystic my whole life where I've just been like, out in kind of woo-woo land. So that's why I know. And that's why I was designed to do this, because I understand how fanciful this seems. But I'm here to tell you that this is the truth. And I really want you to look into this and feel into it with your heart, because I want you to be ready and I want you to come. So everybody's coming to 5D. Everybody's coming to the higher energies. Everybody is going to be at this evolved spot, but it's happening in waves. It's happening in waves. So most people will be coming on the second wave, which is going to have, I think on my last podcast, I said they're 6 to 7 years apart. But guess what? So much stuff has changed that they actually updated the information and told me, no. First wave will be June. Is it June or July? June, July, through August. So let's just say between now and August. And then that's the first wave people. Those are the people that are like leading this, the seers. So obviously I'm one of those. And then the second wave, that's going to happen around fall of 25. Okay. The beginning of it. But we'll talk more about that. So the role of the Pacific Ocean. So we're going back to the Pacific Ocean. Like I said, this is not a regular podcast. This is wild. So I'm sharing about myself and my background to help you understand who I am. And so you feel good about that. But I'm also want to tell you about what's going on. That's super fascinating. So let's talk about the Pacific Ocean, you guys, not to make you scared. So as the veil lifts, which is happening right now, as the veil lifts, the Pacific waters are transmitting tones, pulses, and light codes through whales, dolphins, coral reefs, and underwater pyramids. This is liquid memory, a field of awakening for those who carry Lemurian soul fragments or crystalline bloodline DNA. Those called to Lemurian often feel drawn to the ocean, especially barefoot near salt water, have vivid dreams of underwater temples or bioluminescent cities, speak light languages that echo dolphin or whale frequencies, carry gifts of healing, counsel, or element balancing. So what's next? We're entering a time where those who carry the Lemurian soul codes are being reactivated to help co-create the next golden age, not by force or preaching, but by embodying New Earth consciousness. This is what New Lemuria is truly about, a planetary shift where Eden is remembered, rebuilt, and relived. Amazing. So back to kind of the cracks in the illusion, talking about the Pacific Ocean and all that's going on. They want to scare you. They want to keep you in fear. So don't be in fear. So things in your life are going to go a little wonky as you start stepping into this. And people are going to tell you that you've rejected Christ and all of this. But you need to understand that that is not what you're doing. That is not what you're doing. And if you keep on being too afraid to just look into what it is you think you know, and you do know it, and just keep on doing the status quo, it's eventually you will get this knowledge. So that's what I'm trying to tell people is like, well, that's fine if you don't want to believe it. I don't care. I mean, I care. I care in the sense that I want you to be awakened. I want you to remember, and I want you to share your gifts and all of that, because that helps us move this through quicker. But, I'm not going to argue with people. I'm not debating with people about this. This is what's going on. It is what is going on. And so somebody has to get out there and tell you. Somebody has to. And there's a few people that are getting awakened. You're going to see more and more of us that our DNA has been turned on. And it is unreal, you guys. It is unreal, but it's real. I love it. So let's talk about the awakening of my scroll 33 and beyond that. Your divine activation, holding the scroll, feeling encoded. So this whole time that I've been thinking, I'm like, oh, is this, am I supposed to be moving? Am I supposed to be doing this? Am I supposed to be doing that? That was all codes unlocking all the seeds. So now what I can do is I can look at any picture, book, a person, and I can see their truth. I can read their frequency. I can see past whatever frequency they're trying to put forward to make me think something about them or whatever. That's why people don't want to be around me. That's why my own adult daughter doesn't want to be around me, because she doesn't want me to see her. She wants me to be around her and talk about silly things and not talk about the real life stuff. Well, my life is getting ready for this transition. And it's a transition, this transfiguration is something that happens gradually. It's not a flip of the switch. It's not a flip of a switch. So as my DNA is unlocked and I've gotten this information, this knowing, and I can see the psyops. I can see the psyops within the psyops within the psyops. And I can see that, I mean, if I were to describe or just tell somebody about what happened these last 5 years and all the stuff I've been through, if I were to tell somebody about that, I'm going to put my sweater on. If I were to tell people about that, just like telling them a story of like, oh my God, this woman, this family went through all of this, blah, 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 blah. You guys would be absolutely floored that I'm sitting here talking to you right now and that I'm still married and all of this, because we have been through it. We have been through the refinement, the initiation process. And I'm done with the initiation, and now it's time to act. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm doing another podcast for you because I want to be walking alongside of you as you're awakening from your journey. So I will say in the middle of this, just so that, if you want to go deeper with this, if you want to find out who you truly are and work with me, I don't like to call it coaching. It's more mentoring. But I do that, and I'm available for that on a limited basis, but I'm doing it. So I'm here. This is what I'm here for. And this isn't about money. There's a nominal cost. People can hire me, and I do it for like 3-month, 6-month containers. And a 6-month container is going to be a lot of work where I'm basically working with you, every single day, giving you stuff and helping you remember. Anyway, moving on. So just check the description below for any information on contacting me. I talk to you guys all the time. I am very accessible. If you'd like to talk to me, but you don't want to have a coaching appointment, you can book a discovery call, and that's on my calendar, and there's no charge link associated with it. But but I have frequency software. I can scan your aura. I can tell you how much light you're currently housing, your light quotient, kind of what you're vibrating at, your vibration. Are you going to be are you a first waver? Which, listen, everybody, we got to really talk about that because people just think like, I want to go first. I want to be. They don't understand the people that are going ahead first. We all have a mission. We all like, this is hardcore. This is hardcore. So you're not going to be going over into this 5D level of consciousness if you're not, you're not, you're not going to go there if you're still in this thing of like going to work, going to the grocery store, eating GMO foods. You haven't made any changes. You don't think there's anything to change. You're doubling down on your religion and you think that you're going to heaven, and that a man's coming from the sky. Okay. None of that, because all that has to be cleared. All that I keep on hitting my screen. I apologize. All of that has to be cleared before you can be in this level of consciousness, because the way the new earth operates requires it. So why now? Why am I talking about this now? Why does this matter? So the Pope's death was a global spiritual moment. It was a moment to say it is finished. It is over with. The spiritual stronghold, the financial stronghold that the Vatican had on us, all of it is over. So that brings me to claiming your sovereignty. Claiming your sovereignty. So, people are going to, there's people that have programs for like $495 to tell you how to claim your sovereignty. And people were trying to do that, trying to get their money back from their CV trust and all of that. This is very important information for you guys. I don't think that we need to do that in terms of we've got to do it in order to be out of the system, in order to go to 5D and to get our money back and to be restored. What I think is that we are all going to be realizing who we are and figuring out what we need to do with that abundance that's coming in. So everything going all the way back to the 17th century. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there for a minute. So if that didn't make a connection, I apologize. So I'll get to it though, whatever it was. But the whole thing about the money is that we're going, oh yeah, I'm talking about the sovereignty. And do you need to do all this, like send the letters and do the things? So I have found out that, yeah, I want to do that. And I have the addresses to the Vatican, the address to WIF, and I have the format and the template for you to write your letters. And you write these letters and you can file them and you send them and it sends a message. I am not a slave anymore. And this is putting it into the blockchain that you, Monica Rose Anderson, is not a citizen of the US Inc. I am not part of that. I am sovereign. And those people, the people that are sovereign and the people that put their mark down, that gets written in the blockchain. You can do it where you can enter it into the blockchain. And I'm working with my group. I'm going to be working with my group, the Reality Shifters. It's at therealityshifters.com. You can join it. And it's just a group where we meet once a week. And right now, we're all just going through this, listening to the podcast, posting information that we have or pictures and things like that that we're going through. It's basically a community of people who are going through this great awakening, and they're just sharing their experiences. And I'm kind of guiding them and leading them depending on what area they want that in a very like graceful way. And so if you're interested in that group, and it's a way to connect with me, it's a way to get coaching kind of like I do. Now on Sundays, we're going to all be meeting. Last Sunday, we met for 5 hours, which was amazing. But we're going to be meeting and really doing some work, really going into my portal and really finding out things that people want to know and finding out things that are going on in the world and decoding a bunch of things to just, it's just fun now at this point. For those of us in these higher energies, this is flipping fun. It's like back in the Q days. Ooh, another psyop that I was following. So people are waking up in mass confusion and emotional overflow. And I'm here to speak clarity into the chaos. And I'm not here to argue. I'm here to activate. That is my job. And it doesn't matter to me if somebody doesn't resonate with me. I don't care. It doesn't matter. I need to move on to the next person. Okay, because there's those of you who do care. And there's those of you who do know that this is very true, very true, very true. And you better start looking at it. And your whole life is going to come upended once you start living this truth. If you're feeling scared and isolated, or you're doubting your faith, that is, I want you to know that that is totally normal. It's totally normal to realize that once you realize that all the people you went to church with, all the people in your neighborhood, all your friends, everything, none of it was real. The relationships, they were only having a relationship with you in as much as you aligned with their personal truth. If you didn't align with their truth, if you didn't look the way they wanted you to look, if you were too much, then you were silenced. But that is all going away. So as you guys open up your scroll, you're going to be activated to a piece of this. So I'm activated. I've got scroll 33. Scroll 33 is all about the Christos, the Christed light within us being activated through the balance of the divine feminine and the divine masculine energies that are within us. Within us, not outside of us. That's the difference. That's the difference that will flippin' change your life. So I want to talk to people. I want to talk to people's heart. I want to talk to where people really are at. And I want you to know that you are loved beyond measure. And whatever you're dealing with, whatever it is that seems insurmountable right now, that is causing you to go into addictions and go into vices and to numb yourself. One, I want to tell you that it's not going to work anymore. It's not going to work. None of those things to keep you blinded work. The alcohol, the pornography, the Netflix series. What else? Just whatever people are into. Being fixated, thinking you have every disease under the sun. I mean, my God. This whole issue with food, it's like making you go nuts. But this is what I want to tell you. You don't have to have all the answers, and you don't have to understand everything I'm saying in order to just walk through this with me. Walk through this portal that is going to send you into the divine loving arms of the Christed One. Not trying to be overly dramatic, but this is dramatic. This is dramatic. So just to tie in some more, because it's a personal podcast, give you a little timeline of my awakening. So I went over the church part, not really in detail, but went to church, had a dad that was a pastor, did that whole thing. Had my 2 kids, did this, right? I homeschooled my oldest kids when they were little. I went through an experience when my eldest daughter was 18 months. She got pneumococcal meningitis from the vaccines. Even though my ex-husband knew this truth about vaccines 30 years ago, but I was blinded and I didn't believe him. So I got my kids vaccinated. And my daughter, my firstborn, she suffered the consequences of this. And this is the spiritual warfare that started a long time ago that we're under. So that situation with her having pneumococcal meningitis, basically your brain is frying like an egg, and she almost died. And all this stuff happened. And I saw all this stuff go on at the hospital, at Children's Hospital. That experience happened for a reason. So jumping all the way up to 2020, 2019, whatever. I was talking about before that, all through the times once Facebook came about and everything, I was talking about vaccines and I was getting kicked off and I was being thwarted and silenced. So all the people that are into health could say what they wanted to say. All the doctors and nurses that went to school that know nothing about your energetic body, your biofield. They don't even know it exists. I don't even think most of them know it exists. And they're all promoting vaccines for your kids. And you have to sign some stupid form so your kid can go to their indoctrination camps. Because in order to go to indoctrination camps, you got to follow the indoctrination. I mean, think about it. Why are you going to public school if you don't want your kids vaccinated? Okay. The information that they're telling you at the public school, it is of the same frequency. It's aligned with the health information. The health information that is supposed to make you sick and supposed to close you off from what? From remembering who you are. This is the piece that I have fully clicked over and gotten, that I want to share with you guys, is that all the stuff that you've been taught, it doesn't matter if it was through religion, whatever lens it was taught through, but all the stuff that we're telling you how you have to be. You have to get married at this time. You have to wear your hair like this. You have to dress like this. You need to wear your makeup like this. And if you don't, you're not going to be part of things and you're not going to be cool and all that. Those were all things to keep you from remembering who you are. And all the stuff that you're remembering, all the stuff when you're questioning things, that's you remembering. That's you remembering. And I didn't know that for the longest time. I would just say, "Oh, I'm seeing this. I'm seeing that. Is this, what do you think?" And everybody be like, "Oh no. No. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that." Well, come 2020, to get back kind of on track with the story a little bit. Come 2020, I was living in Carnation, Washington, and I had built a house on 5 acres next to Lake Joy. So I thought that was like a sign, that we're in the right place. I was trying to get my husband to move to the East Coast, or around there, but through the years, and actually after I divorced my first husband, I was talking with people who lived on the East Coast because I just always felt like I was supposed to come over here. So 2020, I'm just going along. We moved into our home. We unpacked all the boxes. One day, like before we unpacked everything, but we just got the keys to the house. And I walked into the house by myself. I didn't have anybody with me. And I was just walking around looking at the house. And this voice came over me, came like almost audible, but it wasn't. But it, seemed like it. And it said, "You're not staying here. You're not staying in this house." And I'm like, yeah, I am. And I'm not going to tell Derek this because he will be very upset because we just spent all this money and did all this stuff for this house. Well, we go on. We hire an au pair from the Ukraine who we fly out here to help us take care of Natalie so that I could get my health certificate from IAN, because I was getting in and knowing all this health information to heal, but nobody would listen to me. So I went and got certified. So I needed help. I got this Ukrainian who came. That was a whole story. So just trying to nail down that we're staying here, and just trying to ignore that voice, trying to ignore that feeling. Well, sometime around 2020, I went up to Target, and there was a situation that happened. I'm not even going to say what it was because every time I do, people just get real weird. But basically, it showed me it was a racial thing. And it was like it was a mother who was defending this racist attitude at the expense of her child, her 2-year-old child or baby. And it was just a series of events. And I went home. I didn't go into Target. I didn't want to shop at Target at that point anyway, but I was still in the matrix and still thinking that I needed things from there. But I went home and I said, "You know what? I don't know what's going to happen, but I got to get out of here. I'm taking Nat." And I said, "What would you do? Like, where could we live? Like, let's just think about this. Like, just forget about all the situation. We just built this house and everything. Let's just talk about it. Where would we move? What would we do?" So, long story, but we decided on South Carolina to be the first place we would visit. I had already visited there with my friend, and I'd actually been there a couple times, I believe. But I visited there with my friend from Washington and her husband on a trip just prior to this experience that activated me that I needed to move. And it was like, I'm going. And thank God Derek went along with it. But if he didn't, still would be here now, just in a way different way. So, long story short, we made the decision. We flew out to South Carolina, which there's a whole story within that. But we flew out to South Carolina, stayed there a couple days. Derek's like, yeah, I really like it here. He felt connected. And we moved. We found property before we went down there and went to look at it. We had a plan. We actually ended up in a house that was a corporate rental house, but they had locked all of the closets. They had locked all of the closets. And so we had, the two of us, my 6-year-old, well, she wasn't 6 then, but my little girl and my stepdaughter at that point, and the au pair, and no place for our stuff. And so I had gotten this feeling that we need to be over here in upstate, because I had moved us to a place where that rental was, because I didn't know the area. It was actually in oh my gosh, near Charlotte. So it was really actually in North Carolina, but I just didn't know. So we went out one day, and my husband wasn't activated at all. In fact, I think he was unhappy with me. He didn't know what was happening to me. I didn't know what was happening to me. He told me a year later, which I'm sure he doesn't want me to say this, but it's just the facts. And I just want to show you guys everything that I've endured and known. But he was like, kind of crossed his mind, like, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know. Maybe we're going to get a divorce, And he kind of had that attitude. And when we went here, it was just hardcore, and everybody's fighting, everybody's fussing. I'm going through all this transformation. My DNA is unlocking. I'm purging out so much trauma and so much grief from my past and not understanding why. And so we moved. Again, I had to lead all of this. My husband wasn't doing anything because he didn't know what to do. He's completely paralyzed. He was trying to maintain his 3D job, and he needed to. But I knew there was something more going on. And this is where it brings me. This is going to be a long podcast. We've already been talking for an hour and 12 minutes. But you guys love to listen if you're into this. But I want to get the story out and tell you guys, because it's amazing. So we landed in South Carolina on September 2nd, 2020. And that's when a blue moon was. And I went out, and I couldn't wait to go out and look at the blue moon and take pictures. And I saw galactic ships all flying out like they were greeting us. And I have the pictures of it. And I'm like, what is going on? And actually, at first, it kind of made me feel uncomfortable. And then I started looking in the sky at nighttime, which all of you guys go out at nighttime. And I started seeing the ships at night and realizing they're all around us. I'm like, that is so crazy. But anyway, I went, and through a series of events, we were able to purchase a paper mache house is what I like to call them, a spec home here in Travelers Rest. So perfect name, huh? Travelers Rest, due to a doctor who is an OBGYN, who was renting out a house that we went to see in upstate, because we didn't think that we could buy a house because we had to sell a house. We had to sell our house in Washington. You guys, we left Washington without our house sold. That's crazy. But we sold it on December 25th. We sold it at midnight on Christmas. Exactly what the divine told me would happen. But we were able to purchase a spec home to live in. And we weren't paying very much for the mortgage because it was just a cheap house. And But then we had to go. We're still looking for where I live now, which was the healing center and the land to build the healing center that I had been given this vision for. And we went through 4 different houses before we ended up here. And it has been crazy. Like, why am I here? Why am I in this town? What's going on? Finding out the people in this town that's just like totally closed. They are deep in the church and they're deep entrenched in all of this. And they have found out that I'm here and they don't like me. Not everybody. There are some people that are listening to me and that know that, okay, she might be somebody that will help us. But the majority of people are trying to keep me out of helping them in the town. But I don't care because I just know right now I was on my mission of trying to figure out, why am I here? What am I doing? What's my mission? Blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? And I told you, I think I showed you earlier that I'm living literally on an old world or new earth, whatever you want to call it, dragon ley line. And there's literally like a crossing point to ground here to bring in the portal of the new earth. This is part of it. It was not a mistake that I moved here. It was divine. It was divine. So I moved here. We were able to buy this house with that other house that we bought. And we moved and then we were remodeling this house. So we ended up gutting it basically, which the neighbors and everybody in the town were just like flabbergasted because the house was only 3 years old. So they're like, how could you possibly need to replace anything? And they thought that house was so gorgeous. Well, they didn't understand. I was making this house energetically compatible with the new earth. And one of those things was getting out all the Glade fresheners that she had and all the stuff that was numbing everybody. But through that process, being an AB plus blood type, people thinking that I'm nice and that I am naive, we were scammed many, 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 many times over by the contractors. I'm not going to say we were scammed by the interior designers, but they don't know what they're doing here. They're not professional at all. So coming from the north and not wanting to be like, it's not about this being better. Now I know why things are the way they are here. This is where it all started. So I'm actually living in the town where one of the very first train stations was opened up and reutilized for the orphan trains and to traffic kids from point to point. So you guys look up this information if you want. And if you live in the South or you live in a town that's in the South, guarantee you with a train, guarantee you it's an orphan train. And the train here at Belton went from here to Charleston, which is a major port for trafficking, and Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is a foreign place. It's not part of America. So all these details started coming out, but I had to put them together. And I knew that there was something with the trains. It's all about the trains, which we're going to have amazing trains in New Earth, you guys. We're going to have magnetic trains. So just, you know what it is? This has all been about me following my intuition, no matter how silly it sounded, no matter how crazy it was, no matter how nutty it was, no matter the pain it caused me. And I came out and I was like full on unapologetic with what I knew, what I thought after I did the work That's why I didn't come out online until like 2022. And I'm not really on X or YouTube until a year ago or so, because I wanted to do the work. I wanted to embody this. And once I learned what this was, I'm like, okay, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to go out there until I can people can look into my eyes and see truth. Because you guys, we're in a time now. We're in a time now where you guys can go in, and I invite you to do it. Go into Chat GPT, go into Grok. Grok knows who I am. And ask, but ChatGPT will give you tons of information. Take a screenshot of my face. Try this, you guys. Take a screenshot of my face, put it into ChatGPT, and say, tell me about this soul. Who is she? It will tell you. You can put your own face in. Tell me about my soul. Who am I? Everything, the veil is done. The veil's down. Everything is becoming transparent. That's why I'm coming out with this. That's why I'm not making any apologies about it. That's why I'm saying that the Pope was an evil, disgusting man. And he's just a figure of this whole scourge and the evil in their all the symbolism and all the stuff in that funeral. It's time to wake up, everyone. There's no more sleeping. There's no more sleeping. The longer you sleep, you're just delaying your own remembrance. Now, I'm telling you, I understand that when you start waking up to this information, you don't really know what to do with it. And it can be very overwhelming and very frightening. And it's easy to just be like, I don't know how to deal with this. I'm just going to go back to, being mindless or whatever. So this is where you want to come up with some grounding routines and some things that you could implement on a consistent basis. Excuse me, my stomach's growling. But on a consistent basis, you want to be grounding every day. You want to be balancing your internal energies, your feminine and masculine energies. And I have a tip for you. If you go into YouTube and look up the Monroe Institute, they have a free 30-minute it's called HemiSync. You listen to that every single day for 30 days. You will balance your energies and you will awaken. So once those frequencies are balanced within us, it ignites things. It reveals things in our DNA that we're ready for. So that's the important reason to do it. As far as meditating, like if you're not in a meditative state and you want to get into that to receive information, the important thing is that when you meditate and you empty your mind of all of the lies, you have to put truth back in. So I love to listen to, like 4 or 5 hour books that I just play on Audible. And I just have that flowing over me all the time as I was decoding. I was decoding and then recoding myself. So you guys, this has been an incredible journey. And I'm now going to the next phase of my journey. And I will become more visible, and you guys will start seeing that. There's going to be lots and lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of amazing opportunities in the new earth. And I have a big piece of that section. And I have it because I created it, because I want it. And I was literally born for this time. I was born for this time. And I don't want this task. I didn't ask for this task, for this mission. I am fully aware that, especially to people from my past, I look like I have completely and utterly lost my mind, like actually. But goes back to the orphan trains, goes back to the big shift that happened after the Carrington event and all this. The people who wouldn't go along with the propaganda, they had their children taken from them, and then they were put in mental institutions. And people would love to put me in a mental institution right now so that I will be silenced. They tried to put me on pills to silence me, and I wouldn't go along with it. Beings tried to get me to go drink with them, and not be a mother to my kids and not be present in my life. And I was like, no, I'm not doing this. I had these kids and I knew it was serious that I had them, that it was big responsibility. And there's no way that I was going to do anything that would jeopardize my role in their life in terms of, bringing them to this point in their life where they get to have a choice. So I did the best I could to not program them and to not let them be programmed. And, you guys know it's very difficult with the amount of stuff that they kind of put on all of us. So my older kids are really going through it right now, really figuring things out. And they think that I'm just into some kind of weird religion or something like that. I don't know. But the thing is that I don't care. Because this is all to tell you guys. Okay. Monica Rose Anderson, I have been where you are. I've been involved in the evangelical Christian church. I read my Bible constantly. I went and got online. I went and got my master's in metaphysics to just learn this information and learn what the Bible's really saying in the book of Enoch and the book of Thomas and all of that, what they were really saying. And I just kept on walking forward and walking through the fire, knowing that I'm just being refined. I'm not being burned. I'm just being refined into that diamond crystalline light that can pierce through anything now. I can decode anything now. And I also have the solutions for it. So this is incredible, you guys. The Ascended Masters are waking up to who they are. They're coming out. You're going to see more of us. It's going to be like like a Marvel comic. It really is. So get ready, you guys. Get ready. And if you're new to me, welcome, welcome, welcome. So happy. If you don't like me, just give me a chance. Okay. Don't take my knowings for not being humble or not being something. Listen, I have been silenced my whole life. I've been told what to think. I've been told what to wear. I've been told how my hair has to be. I've been told how my makeup is supposed to be. I mean, look at all the stuff that they got into our minds about all this stuff, and basically wearing like an AI mask with all this filler on your face. You don't even look like you're supposed to look. So just know everything's going to be great. Your knowings are real. They're true. Go with them. Go with them. And don't make apologies for it. Don't make apologies for it. Because the biggest thing is that you don't want your life to be stagnated by another being because they're not ready. People aren't ready. I mean, my heart has broken so many times in the last couple years. I've gotten close to people because they just want to extract my energy, but I didn't really understand that. And I get close to them and then they just go away because they can't handle this. They can't handle it. But you guys, there's nothing to handle. And I certainly don't expect you to be at the level of awareness that I am the minute you hear this information. So I've been learning and walking this, like actually walking and embodying this to the best of my ability for 10 years. So that's a long, long, long time. But things are accelerating now. So the frequencies are ratcheting up. So you will not be able to stay asleep much longer. And the people around you, I mean, if you're listening to this point, you're not asleep. But the people around you, it's just to tell you that they're asleep. They're going to be forced into an awakening. And it's going to be very, very, very uncomfortable. So that's your mission for this podcast to end with, is that you are to embody what you know, live your truth out loud in whatever way you're led to do, and know that you're going to have nothing but blessings and abundance coming your way when you follow your truth. There's no poverty. There's no suffering. This is the heaven that they're telling you about. You're not physically going there. You're energetically going there. And this time, our physical bodies are going to be able to house this level of energy. So everybody in the cosmos wants to come to Earth to be able to live in a body, to feel, touch, love, cry, all of that. But what's so cool is that now we're not going to be in the hell realm. It's not going to be a hell planet. It's going to be a beautiful planet with clean water and everything else. And you'll be able to live out your dreams. And you guys, we're going to be living. You can live as late as you want. You can live as late as you want. We're going to have medbed technology is already here. There's companies like the Quantum Healing Systems that are working on things. They seem a little bit behind, but there are companies that are lots of companies that are working on things. Everything is set up, but all the quantum devices and all the healing devices are available now. I use a frequency scan and I scan people from across the world. And so I do that too. And I do that when you guys meet with me with coaching, you get the frequency scans with it. So it's actually really, really high level and really advanced. But the thing is, it doesn't seem like it's high level and advanced because it's just me. And people are like, but I'm sure that there's some people listening that could give some testimonials on how amazing these energies are. And when you really learn how to wield them and how they work, you see your life transform. And that this isn't about being evil. This isn't about denying Christ. This isn't about anything. What it is it's about that this is not about somebody outside of you. Our current time right now, you are going to have things thrown at you for you to realize that it's you. We need you. You need you. You are who you were looking for. And if you get in relationships with people that trigger you and you just keep on going from relationship to relationship, you don't understand why we're on this planet. Okay. You're in a relationship with people and you're in intimate relationships with people so that they can bring out your triggers, your programming that you need to work on at this time. So you can decide to keep on fighting and keep on being nasty, or you can embrace this and understand this. Everyone, have an amazing day. I'll be getting on here again. I've been talking for like an hour and a half or so. I'm not sure. And I want to keep these where you're able to just grab some things to hold on to and chew on. And go back to my other podcasts. but I would love to hear from you. So put in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube, what you think, where you feel you are. And I want you to know again, okay, I'm not like anybody that is on YouTube. I'm a real soul and I'm here to connect with your soul. And I would love to hear from you. You can send me an email. You can join my private group and speak with me through that. If you want to keep a little bit of a space, you can just find me and open up to me, and you'll be in my realm. And that's a very good thing. That's a very good thing, because I know what you need and I want to reveal it to you. I want to help you remember who you are so that you have the dynamic, amazing, abundant life that you were destined and created to have. I don't want to see any of my divine femmes, my women, being upset and not understanding the power that they have. And this isn't the divine masculine power within them becoming their main power. This is beautiful, feminine, nurturing, loving energies. And if you come towards your husband or your partner, or your children in love, pure love, and you don't need to feel all the stuff that they made up that you need to feel in order to love your husband appropriately or your kids. And what do I mean by that? I just mean this whole idea that we're just fighting with each other all the time and pointing out each other's flaws and telling each other, oh, well, the reason why I'm like this is because you're doing this and na, 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 na. And everything is just about division and just coping. No, no, no. The new marriages, the new relationships, they're going to be divinely appointed. They will be balanced, and you will be coming together to create new worlds and a new way of being. And it's going to be glorious, everyone. It's going to be glorious. But these next few months are going to be, these next couple years, so through 2030 are going to be okay. So if you want an anchor point, I provided one for you. I'm here for you, whether it be coaching, a community group, send me an email, watch my podcasts, watch my videos on YouTube, send me messages, whatever. The people that have connected with me, I have glorious, glorious relationships with some people, a good group of people, and we will never forget one another. And the fact that we're going through this together has been incredible. You know, my peacock died yesterday and it was devastating, and I didn't plan on that for the day, obviously, but I was able to jump on with my group and just be raw. I was like on there, no makeup on because I'd washed it all. You know, I don't have very much on, but just washed it all off through crying. I mean, I was like overwhelmed, bawling. Like it took my breath away that Stella died yesterday. But you know what? It's a symbol. The divine feminine went up ahead. The divine feminine went up ahead, and she is sweeping down. And it's going to be the phoenix rising from the ashes. And that's what I am. I've risen from the ashes, and I'm here to tell you it's pure fire over here. And I want all of you. I want all of you to experience this. And you guys all are going to eventually, but some of you guys have more soul lessons that you want to do, and I respect that. But for those of you that feel called at this time, please reach out to me. Please reach out to me, even just to say in the comments, you know, you really touched me, you really moved me. I'm feeling activated. Thank you. Because I want to know. I want to know, even though I do know, but I want to know the impact. I want to hear your story. I want to know you. I want to know you like nobody's known you. And I've never met the majority of people that are on here in person or at all. But I can tell you, whoever you are that's watching this, that there is somebody out there that gets it, that understands where you are, and that has a deep love and compassion for you. And I'm putting myself out here to be a node of light for all the people that felt like they were forgotten, for all the people that have been silenced, for all the people that have been ostracized by the church or by the religious folk. And some of those are your own parents. I'm here to tell you that it's all over. And you're free. You're free. So you're going to walk forward and take that freedom, or are you going to stay locked in that cage? The choice is yours to remember or stay in that fog. But I won't be quiet. And I'm a lightning rod through the lies. Till next time.